Okay, we'll start with Eric Bailey, and then we'll go to Jason Kersey. Eric?
Hey, Lincoln. Thanks for your time today. I just want to know, outside of the quarterbacks, can you share who has been the quickest to really establish a leadership role on the football team upon their arrival on campus? And then also a second part, who do you expect to be the leader of the offensive line now that Creed has moved on?
Your first question, you talking about current team or
just since you've been on campus, since you've been at OU?
That's a good question. That's a real good question. I think Kenneth Murray had a lot of that, early on in his career, had a presence about him. I think for young guys, it's tough, because I think there's also a line of, I've got to come prove myself a little bit first. If you come in here and just from day one or just over the top with leadership, sometimes people don't quite hear you or see you until you've been able to prove work and the way you carry yourself and how you play on the field, all of that. So, we've had a lot of guys come in with strong leadership capabilities. I think, Ronnie Perkins is one that came in, I think, that had it. I know I mentioned Kenneth. Pat Fields had a lot of that, I think, when he came in. There's honestly there's probably others, but I just think it's you gotta kind of earn your stripes a little bit, within a locker room to be able to lead like that. But you certainly can identify some guys pretty quickly that you feel like are going to have it. As far as the offensive line, I think you got that older core group of guys that have played a lot of ball with Tyrese Robinson, Marquise Hayes, Eric Swinson. I do see. Chris Murray's got some leadership qualities, and he's played some ball. I was able to play a little bit for us last year, so I think he's an interesting leader, certainly. But I would put those guys at the top of the list right now.
Thanks, Lincoln. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jason Kersey, and then Jenny Carlson.
Yeah, Lincoln, I'm sure this probably isn't something that you're eager to address, but I'm sure by now you've heard the comments Gary Patterson made earlier this week regarding Chandler Morris. So I was wondering if you wanted to respond to that, and also maybe if you could explain in a more general sense the positives or negatives or whatever of coaches having the ability to not release for immediate eligibility and how that kind of works and the benefits you think that has.
Yeah, I would first say on it, this particular situation for us is about something that we believe in. Myself, the leadership here at OU, we think it's unhealthy for college football to encourage intra-conference transfers. Now, that doesn't mean that we're against people being able to transfer to other institutions, any other institution we want. I think that rule obviously has been changed. I think it was a good rule to change. And, now players could have the ability and freedom, as they should, to be able to go to any school they want. But I do think the interconference can complicate things. And I think the world of coaches understand the big picture and understand that's going to bring along a lot of negatives that I just don't know that we want in this game. And so that's something that we've been adamantly opposed to, for a long time. I get the landscape is changing. We're certainly watching that, and we'll adapt as the world changes. But this has nothing to do with the person, Chandler Morris. Chandler Morris did a tremendous job here. He's a terrific young man. He's got a great family. Sure, I hated to see him go. You never want, players to leave your program, but I know he's going to a good program there with Coach Patterson, and I really do. I wish the kid all the best. To illustrate the point, I had another, freshman in the same class that left and went to a Pac-12 school, and we released him right away for the same reason. I don't believe that you ought to be able to transfer in conference and be immediately eligible to play. I think we've got to discourage that. Again, doesn't mean you can't choose to go to another school. Go to any school you want. That's your freedom, and we get it. And so now, how long will that last? Obviously that's kind of it's a fluid situation right now. A lot of those decisions are being made, and we've made the choice to take a step back, to see how all this unfolds on a national level, on a conference level, and we're certainly going to be open-minded about it. But again, the person, the name on it is meaningless to us. It's about something we stand for, and I just think, I know there's been a lot of positive rule changes. Again, but guys being able to transfer wherever they want, I think being one of them that have helped the game and have helped athletes, and I'm 1,000% for that. But I also, when there's something that we believe is going to make the game worse, I don't want to just do the politically correct thing every single time and just sit back and say, okay. And so this is something that we believe in. I get that some people are going to disagree with that. Some people are going to agree with that. I get it. But this is just a core belief that we have. And so we're going to let this thing, our plan is just to let this play out and let some of these rules solidify. And we'll be open to watching it and seeing how it unfolds.
Thanks, Lee.
Yeah, let's go to Jenny Carlson and then Joe Bettner.
Hey, Lincoln, I'm standing in for Ryan this morning. So got a question that encompasses a couple guys, but gets to the question of growth. Can you talk a little bit more about what you said last week about Spencer and his physical growth this offseason? Kind of take us inside how that's happened, what you've seen, just the a little bit more of the intricacies of that. And then Marvin, with his just potential, what he potentially could become as the years progress there at OU.
Yeah, Spencer, I think, has never really come from a strong offseason background. I mean, his coaches did a great job there, but he was always a basketball player and doing 7-on-7s in summer and kind of all of that. And then, gets here, he didn't come in early here. He had that first summer. We have pandemic hit. So the guy's never really had just a real true long stretch of off-season work. And I think, with that, I think not only just the time, but also the understanding of how you have to train your body to make the steps that we feel like that he can make. And so it's been a big push for him. It's involved, his diet, and it's involved, the way he trains, the extra things that he does, the emphasis he puts on it. And so, we just feel like there's a lot of ground to make up there. And so it's kind of taken the whole team, Rachel Suba, Benny Wiley, their staffs, all of us, and then obviously, of course, Spencer. But it's a work in progress. I think he's made, taken some steps through this offseason. I can see some differences physically, in the first couple of days of practice, but still certainly a lot of room to grow. Marvin's got a chance to be a really good player. I mean, he does. I think a lot of his will come down to that same fact of just, how good can he be in the weight room, adding strength to his game, adding more explosion to his game, because he's a smart player. He's a gifted player. He's had good experience at a young age, very, very versatile player. So you're excited about what you're seeing, but he's going to have to continue that growth that some of the better receivers that we've had here, we've kind of seen that progression physically throughout their career.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Bettner and then Bob Prisbillo.
Yeah, Lincoln, I want to ask you about Marvin as well. Just last week you mentioned not being really thrilled about the production that the receivers had this past season, and Marvin being your leading receiver. I'm curious what set him apart as a true freshman. I'm sure the talent comes into play, but what set him apart to have that type of season, considering he didn't have a normal off season, was able to step in and kind of produce right away for you all?
Oh, honestly, he made the most competitive catches in the group. Really, it was him and then our probably our two guys in the tight end room, Jeremiah Hall and Braden Willis. I mean, those three guys had the most competitive catches and made the most competitive plays consistently of anybody in the group. And so that's, that was honestly the biggest factor for him. He made the ones he was supposed to make, but then, for the most part, and then he made, several that were competitive balls. And that's a lot of times what separates, elite players. And he was able to pick it up mentally and kept producing. And, honestly, we honestly probably should have played him even a little bit more than we did. But he did a nice job of it. Now there is still several plays that he didn't make that we would fully expect him to make more of and more of as we go on. But he, certainly a good start.
Thanks, Lincoln.
Okay, let's go to Bob Prisbillo and then John Hoover.
Yeah, Lincoln, we're a month away from the spring game. Sort of wondering what made the decision to have it go back to Saturday instead of Friday night, and is it disappointing that you won't be able to host recruits in an official capacity just yet?
Yeah, no, we certainly wish we could. That's become a great event, but we get it. That's the world we have right now. So I think at this point we're excited that we're going to be able to have one, and that we are going to be able to have fans, even though it'll be on a limited basis. We're happy we're going to be able to have fans in there. So it'll be great. It's still always been a great event before we changed and added a few of the things that we've done throughout the last few years, and I think I think our fans will be hungry to get back in the stadium and get their first look at this football team. And I know our guys will be really excited to get out and play in front of them. It'll feel a little bit different in the last few years, sure, but I think it's still going to be a great afternoon.
John Hoover and then Mason Young.
Hey, Lincoln, I want to also ask a little bit about Marvin. He had such a great freshman season. Does that raise the bar a little bit for what a freshman receiver is capable of when you project to what Cody is already in camp, Mario's already in camp? And the second part of the question is, talking to Alex on Monday, it sounds like you lost the recruiting battle for Billy Bowman, another guy that's in camp.
Well, my position, I win either way, so there's no losses for me. Yeah, for Billy, we're gonna start Billy out defensively, get the majority of his reps there. We'll also rep him in the return game, and we're gonna toy around with him potentially offensively some as well. So we'll just kind of see how it all unfolds. But we felt like it was important to give him a good starting point, and in talking to him. Him sitting down with our coaches, all of us kind of going through it, starting defensively made the most sense to everybody. And so that'll be the starting point. But again, with his skill set, it'll be fun to watch how it evolves. Marvin, it was a really good freshman year, especially in kind of a shortened year. I think anytime a young guy's able to produce for us, I think it's exciting. But I think also, it's not the first time. You can look back, several of these guys we've had to become really good players, with CD or even, Marquise, his first year here, even though he was a junior college transfer. Several of those guys have been able to jump in there and have the opportunity to make a big impact. So it probably is exciting for those guys. I think for us, it's not really about freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. It's just about who are the best ones. And whoever they are and the guys that get the most reps in this offense are going to have a lot of chances to make plays.
Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go to Mason Young and then James Hale.
Yeah, Lincoln, just how much does having Caleb Kelly back on the field this season benefit you from a leadership perspective? And then also, where do you see his fit being, considering the depth that you guys have at linebacker?
Oh, it's tremendous having him back. He's just got a great presence about him. He's always been a really strong leader and competitor, and you can't discount this guy's experience, the big games he's played in, the big plays that he's made. So, and we certainly don't take it for granted. So, he's going to have the same opportunity that every other linebacker in that room does. We're not looking at what we did last year. We're not looking at plays guys have made. We're going to have a group, as you referenced, that a lot of those guys have made plays in their career, and a lot of them have had great moments. So, the best guys are going to play the most. Caleb's going to have a great opportunity, and certainly wouldn't surprise anybody here to see him take advantage of it.
James Hale and then Brandon Drum.
Lincoln, your offensive line is going to be fun to watch because you've got a lot of talent there. You've got to replace Creed, and I was curious, who are you repping at center? You have one guy that I know is snapped in McIver, but the other guys, how did they look snapping the ball in the first couple of days? And Wanya Morris at tackles. He a left tackle, right tackle? What does your tackle situation look like where guys might be lining up?
Yeah, we've worked Murray, we've worked McIver, we've worked Robert Conjul and Nate Anderson. Those 4 guys right now are getting reps at center, so we've got some nice depth. And
Great.
yeah, those guys are doing a good job so far. And then yeah, as far as offensive tackles, Wanya's still early enough. I mean, we're working, the majority of those guys at multiple positions, Wanya included. So, I mean, I think we've got a group of tackles that we're excited about. We'll continue to see how it evolves. It's, we've got a few guys, like Wanya and like Anton, Noah Nelson, Stacey Wilkins. I mean, those guys are, probably straight tackles only. And then, we still have the handful of guys like Tyrese and Eric Swinson, a couple of those guys that are going to be able to play both and also give us some flexibility there as well.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it, Lincoln.
You're welcome.
We've got time for 2 more, Brandon Drum and then Barry Trammell.
Hey, Lincoln. I know Trajan missed quite a bit of last year, obviously, but can you talk about how big this spring is for him? Obviously, finally being able to go through, he's played safety, he's played wide receiver, but to actually be able to go through a winter and then stick with wide receiver all the way through it, and your expectations for him.
Yeah, I think it's a really good opportunity for Trajan, to prove that he can be, consistent on and off the field. The ability's certainly there, and I think all he's been through in the last couple of years. I do feel like there's been some growth and some key areas, and he's just going to have to keep that up. So yeah, I mean, I think it is a chance for him to settle in at a position, and he's got to do his part to stay on the field, to stay healthy, to keep working, to improve. Because, like you said, when he knows what he's doing and when he's locked in, I mean, the talent is very, very obvious, I think, to everybody on that field. But it takes a lot more than that, and I think that's what he's started to learn, over the last 2 years. So, we're banking on that showing up and a more, mature, experienced Trajan ready to help this football team.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Barry.
Yeah, Lincoln, it seems like defenses in the Big 12 are catching up to the offenses a little bit last couple of years. Is that true? And what are you going to do about it as the offensive coordinator?
I mean, I do think, I know we've talked about it some. I mean, I do think there's some really, really good defensive coordinators in our league, ours certainly being no question one of them. I think this has become a very innovative league defensively, which I think there's some things you see week to week in this league that you don't, watching tape of other leagues, you don't necessarily see. And I think the talent level defensively in the league has increased. I know ours certainly has. Not to say that it was, awful before. I mean, I think there's always, like anything, the truth lies in the middle. I mean, I think some of the previous years, you had some historic runs of quarterbacks in this league. I mean, there was years there where quarterbacks and receivers really where everybody had, I mean, either an NFL caliber quarterback or a really good college quarterback. A lot of high draft pick receivers and all that. I mean, there was some just outstanding talent there for a few years. It was going to be tough for anybody to defend in any league. But yeah, I mean, I think I think it's fun. I mean, it's the ebbs and flows of the games as you adjust and other people adjust, and it's kind of a constant game of that. And that's one of the things we really enjoy. So, no, it is. It's fun seeing the new challenges each week, and it's made the league, I think, very, very competitive and very balanced, which has been a positive thing for our league.